if a terrorist, we know he's a terrorist, we saw him shoot, he throws his gun and starts running away, we can't shoot him.
Really?
Who wants to see Ravital in army uniform? Yes.
Oh, shit. Can I still do
Do
it?
a poll. If most people say yes, you're in. Our strength is, first of all, in our brain, okay? And we've seen this across the war.
It's
the
resilience.
Strategy, resilience, being there for each other, the passion, the fire. We want this. Like, we have no choice also.
Have you come face to face with a terrorist? I'm just curious.
Yes. And I look outside of the window of my house, and the scene that I saw that morning, I'll never forget in my life.
This man has served 310 days in IDF reserves since October 7th, lived in Gaza pre-disengagement in 2005, and is an IDF paratrooper. Namaskar, Shalom, and welcome. My name is Ravital Moses, aka Moses in Israel, your favorite Indian Jew, born and raised in India, and now living in Israel. And my goal is to bridge India and Israel one video at a time. And today, on public demand, and for the very first time, we have an IDF soldier from Israel Defense Forces, the one and only Yair Jab, or Jablinowitz. Did I say it right?
Woo! Shalom, namaste. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you feeling?
I am feeling great to be here with you.
Wow. Shout out to Pashali, who made this introduction. That's one reason you're sitting here today. And I remember meeting you for the very first time, and we hit it off instantly. And then I also got to know that you have a very big Indian following, right? But today, the point is about IDF and your service. So let's get into your service. We have a lot of questions from our audiences. Okay, this is the most controversial topics of all times. Why is IDF the most moral army in the world?
That's a great question. I think that a lot of times we try to say that something is the most of something. And again, I can't compare to other armies because I didn't serve in any other army. But I could tell you that from facts and numbers that we've researched, ratio of combatants to civilians harmed in the battlefield, the IDF has very impressive numbers. To say that they're the most moral, I don't know. Very moral? Absolutely. I only speak from the authority of what I've experienced, so I can't say about other things. But I will say that when we started our Army service in the paratroopers unit, this was in 2009, and we come in, and I was expecting that the first month is going to be, shooting and running and combat. It's going to be boom, boom, everything exploding, okay? And I was like, oh, it's going to be awesome. And then for 3 months, we had some of that, but what did we do most of the time? Do you know? We sat in a classroom like this with AC to learn the morals and values of the IDF and to learn about the history of Israel. It was education. That's what it was. It was a melting pot because, as you know, the IDF is the greatest melting pot of Israeli society. That's where everyone comes together, whether you're from up north, down south, you are religious, secular, right-wing, left-wing, it doesn't matter. Jewish, Muslim, Christian, and Druze. We have many Druze soldiers in our unit. Doesn't matter. We are all one. So the idea of the first 3 months was to learn about our values. That's what we did. We even got this envelope and this card that says what are the things that we're allowed to do, what are the things that we're not allowed to do.
Can you share with us?
Absolutely. I'll give you the greatest example. When you go to a specific region, okay, they enlist you. And, I've served around 310 days since October 7th. And I've served mostly in Judea and Samaria, okay? And whenever we go to a specific region, we have to learn about the region before we, take over and start protecting the civilians and doing the different missions. We have to know what we're dealing with. What are the Israeli towns? What are the Palestinian towns? To know what was the history of the region, etc. But the first thing that everyone asks is, in Hebrew I'll say this, Horaot Pticha Be'esh, which means the laws of engagement. When you could use your gun, in what condition, how, what are the different circumstances? That's the first question.
Is this something that you can share? What are the instances?
Of course. For example,
for audiences, for them to understand, when can you actually use?
I'll give you the best example. If a a terrorist shoots at anyone, civilian, and it's clear that he shot, and then he throws his gun and starts running. Okay, and again, it depends on the region. It depends what type of combat. It depends. Gaza is different than Judea and Samaria, and it's different than Lebanon and Jordan, etc. But in the specific region that we were in, if a terrorist, we know he's a terrorist, we saw him shoot, he throws his gun and starts running away, we can't shoot him.
Really?
Can you believe that?
Why?
If anything, that's why whenever I hear the anti-Israel cult say, "Oh, you guys are doing this and you're doing that, and the IDF is the worst, the least moral, and you just baby killers and all the nonsense," I'm shocked, because if anything, the first thing that so many people say is, "Why is the IDF so strict when it comes to, he's a terrorist? Why can't we eliminate him?" You have no idea. We saw this just a few months ago in Gaza. Mm-hmm. There was a terrorist. The Air Force, you have to go through layers and layers of restrictions in order to get approval. So they saw there's a terrorist. They had to speak to their commander. The commander has to speak to his commander. You understand what we do?
And this has to happen within seconds.
Exactly. The element of surprise is lost because we throw leaflets. The element of attacking on time is lost because we have to get confirmation after confirmation. And by the time it got to the head commander, he said, there's too many civilians there. Hold it off. Don't shoot. Now, it was clear that it's a terrorist, but they called off the operation. And there's countless examples. But to me, I for a fact know that we are probably one of the most moral armies in the world, without comparing to other armies out there, because I'm sure there's many that are doing a great job. And it's just disappointing to see the lies. That's all. I
completely understand. I have complete FOMO. I didn't really have the chance to serve in the IDF. I was 25 at the time when I made Aliyah. And I think by the time you're 24, you're too old to serve. But I think I probably should have pushed for a voluntary service.
We could still do it. Come. We'll find a job for you.
Can I? Okay.
Let's do it.
Go down to the comment section and tell me if you would want me to serve in the IDF, even if it is for a few months.
Who wants to see Ravital in army uniform? Yes.
Oh, shit. Can I still do it?
Do a poll. If most people say yes, you're in.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. I wasn't ready for that, but if I have a chance, maybe I will. Let's talk about your IDF career. Now, you served in the reserves since October 7th, right? But how many years have you been serving the army, which is a mandatory army service in Israel?
So that's a great question. Mm-hmm. And this is what people don't understand. I'm not an army, that's not my career. I'm a regular citizen. I work in tourism. I have a family. I have friends. I travel the world. That's what I do in my day-to-day life. A lot has changed since October 7th, of course. But what happens in Israel is you have your mandatory service, which is usually 3 years. You could do more, you could do less, but for the sake of this conversation, it's usually 3 years. And that's what we did. We were paratroopers for 3 years. It's funny because in the whole process, so in the beginning, I got an invite for the Air Force.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, okay, fine. Believe me, anyone who's in the Air Force dreamed about it for years, okay? Since they were 4 years old, they were like, I'm going to be a pilot.
Is it because it's cool or is it because it's elite?
That's a good question. I don't know what makes someone want to be a pilot, but first of all, the service, what you're doing is incredible. I mean, we've seen this in the war with Iran. We've seen this with a war in Lebanon, war in Gaza, Yemen, Houthis. I mean, the Air Force is doing so much. Not that the other units aren't. Everyone is. But the Air Force is incredible. I'm sure there is that feeling of being an elite unit. But on the other hand, it's a 9-year course. It's a 9-year service. It's
to be in the Air Force?
To be in the Air Force.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's pretty much for life. Like if you're doing the Air Force, that's your life. You're going to probably continue, in the IDF. I'm pretty sure it's 9 years. And then there's also reserves. And after that, you naturally become a pilot in some of the more, in the civilian companies, whether it's in El Al or other companies around the world. But that's pretty much your path.
So how did you pivot?
Okay, so I got an invite. I said, it would be cool to come. So I came, and they had this simulation. It was actually really cool, but really hard.
When you say simulation, like
as if you're a pilot.
Right.
They put
Was
you,
that your test?
Yeah. You have
Okay.
to do a few tests.
Okay.
It's called Yarpa Aleph, Yarpa Bet. Don't know why I remember this. And then there was the psychiatrist or whatever that came and spoke to me.
I've heard it's pretty hard because there's so many tests and exams, and only if you make it through all of them,
Right.
you're in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they had like this cognitive test. They had a test, to see your IQ, to see that, whatever. I did the simulation,
okay.
and it was really fun, but very hard. And I'm like, there's no way I passed this. It was you have to like dodge things and go up and down, and I was horrible. And I'm like, forget it. This is not for me. And then I got a letter that I passed, and I'm like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah. So they invited me again, and they did another test, and I passed that too. And then I'm like, okay, this is not good because I don't know if I want this.
Wait, you're that kid in class who doesn't study but like gets straight A's.
Nah, I don't.
Yes,
wanna,
yes,
I don't wanna say
absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
Just in this case,
I feel like you're that student for sure.
I don't know.
Yes, yes.
But I will say this: when I came and had the meeting, I don't even remember like what this was exactly, but it was kind of like a conversation to see why you want to be in the Air Force, and have you dreamt about this your whole life, and what is your vision?
Yeah.
And I came and in front of me was this soldier, female soldier, and she was very serious, and she's like, so have you dreamt of this your whole life? And I said, no, I got an invite, and I thought, okay, it'd be cool, I'll come check it out. And I see her writing things down. I'm like, okay, that's not good. And sure enough, she saw I wasn't passionate enough, and I didn't pass that. So I think that's for the best.
Okay, and that's how they picked you for the paratrooper?
Right, and then I got an invite for, I think you get a bunch of invites.
Okay.
And I got an invite for paratroopers, and then you have to do like what's called a gibush. It's like a test.
Right.
I think it was a 2-day, it's like, that's the thing. It's also physical, a lot physical, also cognitive. They have to make sure that you're sane. Which I don't know how I passed that, but the physical test I passed, and I was with a bunch of other guys, and we most of us passed it.
Okay.
Some didn't.
What was the most difficult test?
I think the psychological tests. The physical tests are hard. You run for, there were a few tests.
Can you walk us through, just like, because our audiences are from India and they want to give them an insight into what it is to be an IDF soldier and like get to that point, the training and the mental, grit.
Right.
Like, I want to be able to show them.
Right. So and this connects to the war today and where we are, we know that a lot of the challenges in the Army and in life in general are both physical and mental,
Right.
And therefore, the test incorporated both. I'm trying to see if I'm going to remember all the examples. But for example, we had a test where you have to go up on this bar,
Okay.
hold on like this, and that's physical.
Okay.
But you also have to stay as long as possible. And I think you had to also count or say some things while you're doing it.
Okay.
So it was kind of using your strength and your brain. There was another thing where you had to do things blindfolded. So, yeah, there was crawling under, crawling over, running in the sand, running wet, carrying people who, let's say, got injured and showing that brotherhood and helping the other. There was a lot of that. There was a lot of like sprints and also just more like marathons, like longer runs. There was a lot of physical. Also, there was also a physical test, sitting down in classroom and doing a test.
Okay.
And I think that for all your viewers, this is really important. The IDF, I mean, look at us. We're not huge. We're not big and muscular. Okay, that's not our strength.
I was going to say, like, you look very cool. Like, nobody, if you wouldn't have had that hat on, nobody would have been able to say that you're a soldier.
Right. That's exactly the point. Now, you have, believe me, I've seen IDF soldiers that are big, buff, and strong. But the strength of IDF soldiers is very different than what you see in movies and what you think. And even different than what you see in, let's say, the Marines, the U.S. Army, like, working out all day and eating tuna boxes. Like, that's not what we do. Our strength is, first of all, in our brain, okay? And we've seen this across the war.
It's
the
resilience.
Strategy, resilience, being there for each other, the passion, the fire. we want this. Like, we have no choice also. We're fighting for our home. We're fighting for our kids, for our children, for our, families. If we're not going to do it, no one is. So it's unlike any other army. And this is our Jewish, tiny little sliver of Jewish state that we've been yearning to come back for 2,000 years. And we're here. A dream come true. So we're going to do everything to keep it. So that's in itself the power that we have. And you can't beat that with any physical strength. You just can't.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about reserves for a second, because I know you said you have a full-time job, you're married, you have kids, and then on October 7th, you got called back, right, to save the country and to guard it. What keeps you motivated?
That's a very good question. I'm going to talk about my internal motivation and external motivation.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So my internal motivation is that my grandmother-in-law and family are survivors of the Holocaust, and they were defenseless. When the Nazis came up to power, there was no one to protect the Jewish people. There was no one, And in Farhud, the massacre in Farhud in Iraq, where the Jews there were massacred by their, Muslim neighbors, no one was there to save them. And the same thing in Ethiopia, and the same thing in many other places around the world. Okay, maybe not India, but that's a different conversation. But in many places around the world, the Jews, and even in Israel, in 1929, you had the Hebron massacre. This is pre 1948, the re-establishment of the state of Israel, but Jews were living here all the time,
right?
And they were defenseless, So in 1929, there was a massacre of the entire Jewish community in Hebron. There was a massacre of the Jewish community in Jaffa, the massacre of the Jewish community in Tzfat. Jews were defenseless until 1948 for pretty much 2,000 years, since the Romans kicked them out and named this land the land of Israel, Palestine.
Right.
That's what they did, and some Jews kept on living here, and some went to exile in India, in Iraq, in Morocco, in Yemen, and in Europe. And to be able to, for the first time, have a country, have a state of our own, and defend ourselves is the most incredible thing that you can do. And if we could do it, that gives me motivation every day. So that's kind of more the internal. The external, that would be the fact that you have people around the world that have been showing support, that have been coming physically to our base, that have been sending us notes and letters and messages and just so much love. There's people within Israel, and we saw this after October 7th, the unity and coming together and doing everything they can to help. So those are the things that just give us so much strength. So that definitely gives us inspiration, and I speak, in my name, but I think my entire unit would agree.
How big is your unit?
So, we have different departments, but we have our smaller unit that we are 20 to 25 soldiers.
Okay.
Then we have our battalion that we are around 80 soldiers. Then we have, and then it goes on. But really 80 soldiers is kind of the people that we're with all the time, yeah.
Do you have PTSD?
I would say no.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to believe, but I believe you.
I'll tell you. To each their own. And
right.
By the way, PTSD, I'm not an expert, but I do have some friends that are professors in that department of trauma here in Israel and also abroad. And I've had very interesting conversations with them. And PTSD could happen to anyone. It doesn't have to be in the army. It could be, and by the way, you don't even have to physically be at the scene itself.
Right.
A lot of people had levels of trauma on October 7th, even if they were in India, Japan, or the United States. You don't have to physically be there.
Right.
The first time that I had kind of nightmares was the first week of October 7th. And I was in the army. I was called up. So I'll tell you the story. So on October 7th.
This is your episode.
Yes, on October 7th. This is, the day that changed my life and everyone's lives. So on October 7th, it was the Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah. And it was a chill day. And I woke up and I was going to be in charge of the kids that morning. And I told my wife to, you sleep in. I got this.
How many kids do you have?
I have 4.
Wow, it's a big family.
3 girls and a boy. Yeah.
What a bracha.
Exactly.
More girls, more bracha.
100%. 100%. I like my boy, but 3 girls for sure. So that morning I was like, okay, I got this. I'm in charge. I go to make a coffee, and this is, bear in mind, it's like pretty early, a bit before 7 a.m.
Okay.
And I actually heard booms, but I didn't think of anything. I heard like things in the background, backtracking.
Right.
That's what I remember, but I didn't think anything about it. Okay. I made a coffee, got a book. I was just about to sit down and drink my coffee, and suddenly I hear a knock on the door. And I'm like, okay, it's very strange. It's like on a Jewish holiday, who's knocking on the door?
And it was a Saturday, yes?
It was a Saturday, yeah. I opened the door. It's my neighbor, Michael, and he's like, listen, something really bad happened. Turn on your phone. I think you've been called. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah, there was like some terrorist attack. He said in Sderot, and like 10 people were killed. And I'm like, 10 people killed? No way, that's insane. It's like, yeah, turn on your phone. It's something bad. Like, okay. I turned on my phone, and sure enough, you get the what's called Tzav Shmone. So it's the red alert that you've been, invited back to reserves, and this is like, you have to go. You have to go immediately.
Like you can't say, you don't have a word in like your opinion or nothing.
I can't choose.
You just like have to go.
Have to go.
Okay.
And the funny thing is that not only people that had to go, but a lot of volunteers came on that day as well.
Really?
That was kind of the problem that we had. We didn't even have enough equipment because usually you have your unit.
Right.
But 110 people showed up. So
voluntarily wanted to help.
They're just like, we're coming. People that were on the unit were older, you're exempt after age 40, you're exempt if you have over 6 kids, you're exempt, whatever, for many reasons.
Right.
But I guess they were in the unit. It wasn't random people. It was people that were in the unit,
right,
but got exemption. They came anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, back to the story. So this is early in the morning, and I'm like, oh my God, thinking my wife is still asleep. I'm like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
This is crazy. And in the beginning, I'm like, okay, it's probably not a big deal. Come on. It's probably something small. Maybe it's nothing. But I'm like, I got to go. I don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I got to tell my wife. So just as I was thinking about this, she was waking up. Then I go to her and I'm like, listen, something really bad happened down south. In the middle of my sentence, we hear a siren. And bear in mind that we live near Jerusalem. I didn't know I knew what a siren was, but we barely get sirens. My kids don't know what a siren is. Everyone was like, what's going on? We go into the shelter. And we sit there for 10 minutes and we realize that something bad is happening. I go out to check that the coast is clear, and again, another siren. Go back, and this repeated itself 3 times. There were 3 sirens in Jerusalem area that morning. Okay, we go out, and I'm like, this is crazy. And I look outside of the window of my house, and the scene that I saw that morning, I'll never forget in my life. I wasn't alive in 1973 in the Yom Kippur War, but what I saw that morning, I could imagine is what it looked like in the Yom Kippur War. What did I see? I saw a mother holding like 2 children, and another child like holding her hand, and waving to like her husband with army uniform that is like leaving in the car to go serve. And I see 1, I see 2, I see 3. Slowly the entire neighborhood just leaves. Like everyone just goes. Men and women. Like anyone who was enlisted went. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be me in a minute. And before I had a chance to even think, someone just barges into the door, and I look and I'm like, and it's my friend Eitan who lives nearby, and he's with me in my unit. And he's like, come on, Yair, we're going. I'm like, what do you mean we're going? He's like, get a bag, and
you have to go.
My car is here, just come with me. And I'm like, okay. And I didn't know. I thought, okay, we're going for like 2-3 days. I don't want to get too specific, but I took like 2 pairs of underwear, that's it, and like whatever I can. I took like a small bag and left.
You didn't know for how long you're going to go?
I had no idea. I ended up being there for almost a month consecutively, and in total 5 months for that whole batch, of service. And the craziest thing is that ever since then, my son then was 2 years old, 2.5, something like that. And every time I spoke to him on video call, he said, "Where's the man? Where's the man?" He would call that my friend of mine, Eitan, who came in, the man who took you, right? Because he came and took me, right? Like, so he's like, "Where's the man?" And that was like his thing for months.
Remembers.
He was like, "I want to see the man. I want to see the man." He was like, he had to see the man. So that first week, I was in the army, and that whole week, I've our unit consists of the most optimistic, fun, incredible people. You got to meet some of them.
I will.
You will. They're incredible people. Okay, Pashali met some of them. A lot of my friends who came to the base met them. I told you I'll invite you to the base next time. So, incredible people. And that week they were all down. They were all we all were depressed like we've never seen before. And I won't say it was a type of trauma, but I couldn't sleep at night, and I would wake up every few hours, sweating, hoping that this is a dream. This happened for a week, that I was like, oh, it's a dream. Nothing happened. And then I would look on the news. I'm like, oh no, this actually happened. And that happened for a whole week. That was like the hardest week of my life, for sure. But ever since then, we kind of got our act together. Again, we're still in that same trauma, but got our act together, and we've been really pushing forward and doing incredible things, both on the battlefront and off the battlefront, because we have no choice.
Follow the news for that.
Yeah.
Have you cried since the war?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not the type that cries, even though I could cry in some very emotional and romantic movies. I'm not going to mention which ones.
Oh, then you have to watch so many Indian movies, because you will.
I'm sure I'll cry from that. I don't cry much, but I don't know if I cried on the first week after October 7th, but there was one moment that I actually did cry, and that is with Shiri, Ariel, and Kfir Bibas, when we were told that they were killed, and that whole week I was just in tears. I was like, this is the evilest thing. I mean, we knew how evil they are, but I couldn't comprehend.
It's unfathomable, and I think the entire country was grieving. Yeah. You could tell. It also rained, if you remember.
Yes.
It rained that week. It was like God was also crying with us. It was really, really sad. I do have another tough question. Have you ever had a near-death experience on the battlefields? Or have you had a fellow soldier, have you seen them injure or die right in front of your eyes?
It's a very good question. Usually you don't answer those questions, but I will answer some of them.
Okay.
Near-death experience, I mean, you know how you say, oh my gosh, I almost died. So almost, in many cases, not even in the army, I'm just talking about travel, driving, life, happened many times. But that's almost. It's funny because I had two encounters that I felt like, I don't know if I felt like I'm going to die, but I'm like, how am I going to get out of this alive? You know what I mean? Which is pretty much the same thing, just in a different way.
Have you come face to face with a terrorist? I'm just curious.
Yes. But there was, and this is what people don't know, that when it's quiet in Israel, that means that the IDF is operating every minute. Every minute the IDF is operating. And if it's quiet, it's not because our enemies forgot that they want us dead or that they want to kill us. It's because we are preventing it. And that's what people have to remember. Because I see this. I could tell you right now, we're sitting here in this beautiful space. I could guarantee you that there are soldiers out there that are right now preventing the next terror attack. And we are actually sitting just a few minutes from where there was the terrorist attack yesterday, where 6 Israelis, innocent Israelis on their way to work or wherever they were going, were murdered for being Jewish, for being Israeli. And the sad thing is that these terrorists, their families are going to get salaries for the rest of their lives. Not by Hamas, who praised and said that, this was an act of heroism. No, they're going to get salaries from the moderate Palestinian Authority, from the PLO. There's the pay-for-slay policy, which is, it's well known, it's out there. It's not like a secret. Palestinian Authority, which is the most moderate Palestinian group. This is not Hamas, not the Islamic Jihad, moderate, relatively speaking. They pay families of terrorists for the rest of their lives for killing Jews.
It's an incentive for them to slay us so that their families get paid.
And the more they slay, the more they get paid. So.
And I still can't imagine how people still support this cause.
It's pure ignorance and
well, that brings us to bad PR for Israel.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that? I would say that, we've had bad PR for a good few thousand years.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I would say there's a few reasons. Why did the Jewish people in general have bad PR? That's the oldest form of racism and hatred in this world. So I can't understand why, I can't rational why there is so much anti-Semitism. But I could understand why, and I do have actually a lot of criticism towards the Israeli government not focusing enough on the PR. And it makes sense, okay? I understand where they come from. And actually, I think now they're changing things a little bit, which is good. But for the most part, Israel always said to themselves, it's so obvious that we're right? Like, come on. Look at us. We're a democracy, a thriving democracy, a strong economy, the most moral army, or one of the most...
Coexisting.
Right. And we're surrounded by raging terrorists that literally say that they want us dead and that are radical Islamists and believe in Sharia law. Like, come on. Do we really need to convince anyone that we are on the right side of history? I mean, this is so obvious.
I think we just assumed that people would understand.
Exactly. And that's crazy because it makes sense. But we're living in a crazy world and in crazy times.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, their focus wasn't so much on that. And also, let's be honest, first we got to live. So the focus and all the energy was going into the IDF, the security, the intelligence, preventing our destruction physically. So that's why we're currently in a situation where we're fighting Islamic terrorism on 7 fronts, and we're winning on 7 fronts. Yes, the war in Gaza is taking a long time. Yes, it's painful. Yes, we have hostages there, but we're decimating Hamas, and we just heard now a few minutes ago that we may have got rid of some of their leaders in Qatar. We'll see if that's confirmed. But we decimated Hezbollah to a situation where Lebanon is talking about asking them to disarm, okay? The Assad regime fell because of this whole situation. Iran lost control there. The 12-day war with Iran proved how exposed Iran is, and our Israeli Air Force was exceptional, and everything that we did there was beyond incredible. We thought, the war with Iran means the end of Israel. And look, we're still alive. Okay, and the Houthis and everything. So we're winning on 7 fronts, but we're losing on the 8th, and that's the PR front.
What do you think we're not doing right now?
Well, listen, at some point there's just so much you can do, and you can't change the mind of the haters. But what you can do is, first of all, the most important thing is to make sure that we are whole, that we believe in the truth, that we know the truth, that we are strong internally and externally, and we understand what we're facing and what we're standing for. That's the most important thing, first to us. Afterwards, we could, inspire our peers, our brothers and sisters. We could, I had a conversation a few months ago with someone from Morocco who was here in Israel for his second time.
Okay.
And he's a really great guy. And I'm still in touch with him. And he said that he grew up hating Israel because he was taught, and this is Morocco, which relatively is moderate. I've been to Morocco several times, great people. I'm not talking here about like radical societies, like you have in parts of Egypt and in Iraq, Syria. I'm talking about, or Yemen, I'm talking about Morocco. Morocco has a long history of Jews living there and thriving. And he told me that in his school, they were taught that Israel is the demon, and Israel is the source of all of our problems. That's what they were taught in school. In school, at age 5, 6, 7. Now, when you're taught that from that age, you're going to believe it. And he grew up with that image. And it doesn't matter what you say to him. But hey, it's not rational, but look, it doesn't matter. This is what he was taught. It's so deeply rooted. But then when he came to Israel, he was shocked. Actually, no, he told me the reason why he came to Israel is Israelis were visiting Morocco, and he happened to meet them. I think it was in actually some college conference.
Okay.
And he was shocked. Wow, these Israelis are so nice. They're so warm. They're so hospitable.
He did not expect that.
What? I don't understand. Like, imagine your whole life you've been growing up on Israelis being the demon. Suddenly they're so kind. And he was so confused, and he didn't know what to do. So someone invited him over, and he came to Israel. And since then, he's been here, I think, even twice or three. I met him on the second time. I think he's been here again.
Okay.
And he fell in love with Israel. And his mission now is to show the truth about Israel. And I think it has to start from education. It has to start from a young age. I mean, look at Gaza. I lived in...
Let's talk about that for a
yes,
second.
Right.
Why?
So I didn't live there, to live there. I was there for 2 months pre the disengagement plan in 2005.
Okay.
This was the plan. Israel thought it would be a good idea to return the Gaza Strip, because Israel was controlling the Gaza Strip from 1967 after the Six-Day War, which, 5 Arab nations started a war against Israel. And
yeah, they bullied us.
And in a miraculous fashion, we won the war in 6 days and captured double the size of Israel, the whole Sinai Peninsula, the Gaza Strip, Judea, Samaria, East Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights, all that. And the first thing that we did, this should show you everything you need to know about Israel. The first thing we did is, okay, how could we return the Sinai Peninsula? How could we return East Jerusalem for peace? How could we that was the first thing. So when people say Israel wants to colonize, they want to capture the whole world, such nonsense. It's just lies and propaganda. There's no truth to it. If you look at the history, it's the exact opposite. So what happened was we had the Gaza Strip from 1967 until 2005. And in that time, Ariel Sharon, Israel's prime minister back then, had this plan. Okay? And this is the funniest thing, because he actually built, not only also Yitzhak Rabin and other prime ministers, but he was one of the visionaries of building the Gaza Strip, and he called it the 5 fingers, Chamesh Etzbaot, okay? What does that mean? It means creating 5 sections where you have Israeli towns within the Gaza Strip, so that Gaza won't be connected to Rafah and to Khan Yunis, and therefore it will be harder for them to attack us. Okay? That was the idea. Where we settle, that becomes our security belt.
Okay.
So there were 25 thriving communities in Gush Katif, nearly 10,000 Israelis living there, green homes, agriculture, and it was just beautiful beaches. It's like a dream. Just thinking about it, talking about it, I get the goosebumps. It was just an incredible place. And I had friends that were living in Evet Kalim. And Israel said, you know what? We are going to kick out 10,000 Israelis and give Gaza on a silver platter to the Palestinians for the hope of peace. This was unilaterally. We didn't get anything in return. It was just like, take it, bye, which is kind of insane. And we said, okay, let's try this out. And now they could build the Singapore of the Middle East. There you go. You got your strip here.
Right. And it was like ready-made, like everything made.
We left the synagogues. We left the green homes. We left, anything they wanted. They could have built the most thriving society, the most thriving state in this region. They had the most beautiful beach. They had incredible agriculture. They had everything. And they could have not attacked us and not fired tens of thousands of rockets at us. And we would have had business and, economic relationships.
We could have built that partnership, but they chose their fate. That's on them.
They chose their fate. So I was there 2 months prior to 2005, and it was magical times. And I want to just say once...
Were you by yourself?
I was with a few other friends. I was 16 years old.
Oh.
Yeah, I was young.
Okay.
16 years old. I went with a bunch of friends, and we had a great time.
Okay.
But it was also very sad, because we knew that this is not a good idea.
Okay.
And the last thing I want to say is I told you so, but it's just like, what did you expect is going to happen? And that's why I say this also for those who are like, oh, we should give them a Palestinian state in Judea and Samaria. If the Palestinians wouldn't be radicalized to hate us so much, I wouldn't care. I don't mind going to, even though Judea and Samaria is the Jewish homeland. That's where you have Hebron. That's where you have Beit El. That's where you have Shechem. All the stories in the Bible are from there. They're not from Tel Aviv. They're from Judea and Samaria and Jerusalem. Even though this is our ancestral homeland, I would be willing, me personally, not everyone, but I would be willing to give it up if it would be true peace and go in with my passport to visit the holy sites. But that's not the situation. And at some point, when you try something time and time again, and it fails...
it's not going to work.
Exactly. You got to be an idiot to do it again.
Yeah.
So the last day before we were kicked out, there was Bedouin village near the Muasi, okay, which is by... it was where Nevet Kalim, close to Nevet Kalim back then, which is like the southern, western part of the strip.
Okay.
And we actually were working together, the Israelis and the Bedouins there, and we were doing like farming together. It was actually pretty cool.
Okay.
And we were working on their tractors and everything. And the day before the disengagement, they came crying to us, the Bedouins. And they said to us, don't leave. And we're like, why?
Yeah.
They're like, when you leave, we're done. We're gone.
Yeah, we're screwed.
We're screwed. Now, screwed also, physically, because
Yeah.
I'm sure Hamas killed and murdered many of them, but also economically, financially, they have no future. They were working together with the Israelis, and their lives were better and improved because of Israel.
Nakhon.
So that's what people don't understand.
All right. Well, you do a lot of education on your own platform. Let's talk about that for a second. And that was a personal choice, right? You have a full-time job. You focus on tourism, right? But you chose to educate people about Israel and the reality. And a lot of your audiences are from India. How did that happen?
That's a great.
You don't even look Indian. What happened?
I don't look outside Indian. Inside, I look Indian.
You
Believe
are.
me,
You
should
are.
see what I eat.
You
Very
are
spicy
very
food.
desi.
Yes.
In terms of like your vibes, and I think you've never been to India. We had that conversation, but I think you will love it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about your connection with India without being to India.
Right. So I'll start with on October 8th, I got messages from friends around the world. Actually, not India, but places that I lived in New Zealand for 3 years, and I had friends there. I was in Australia, and in the States I lived, in Canada. So I got a lot of messages from my friends there saying, could you please share what's going on? Could you please give us updates, give us inspiration? We are so depressed. We are so down. We need something.
Mm-hmm.
So I was reluctant, and then I said, okay, you know what? I'll do a video. And I did a video with me in my army uniform, it was me and two of my guys in the back and the sunset. It was really nice. And we just did it in one take. And it was just words of inspiration. They're trying to destroy the Jewish people, but our message is that we're here, we're strong, we're standing up, we're fighting for our country. We're gonna be strong. Am Yisrael Chai, everything. It was, and it went viral, exploded.
Mm-hmm.
And until October 7th, I was dealing mostly with travel in Israel and around the world. That's what I do. That's what I love. I mean, look at me, that's, travel is my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing videos of traveling and surfing and having a great time.
Mm-hmm.
And since October 7th, I started with these videos of inspiration and sharing the reality in the army and in Israel. And at some point, I felt like the ignorance around the world and the hatred is boiling and has gone to such an extreme level that I just can't be silent anymore.
Right.
And for me, it was kind of like therapy. No one asked me to do it, as opposed to, all the Israel haters are like, Israel's paying you. Who's paying you to? No one's paying me to do anything.
You just felt morally responsible to talk for your country.
Yes. And since then, I couldn't stop. And my love affair with India and the incredible people there started, I guess, a few months after, and it really exploded with the Pakistan and India tensions. But even before that, I was already getting a lot of messages from India. The reason is, and this is what I see, is that if you think about it, both nations are so similar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are both democracies. India is the largest democracy in the world. We both believe in freedom. We're both battling against radicalism and extremism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have those surrounding us that want us destroyed. We believe in innovation. We believe in technology. We're warm, hospitable.
Mamash.
There is so much similarity. There's a reason why Israelis, after their army service, the first thing they do is they go to India.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I will be in India very soon, maybe together. And that'll be exciting. We'll have a whole episode on that too. But for now, I just want to say I love the incredible people in India and their support, their love to Israel, and our love goes back to them. We know what they're going through. They know what we're going through. And together, we're going to win. We're going to beat extremism, and we're going to thrive together.
Amen.
And yeah, on every level. So I'm very excited for that.
That's awesome. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. Well, thank you for giving me and my audience an insight, because I've been trying my best to get an IDF soldier on Moses in Israel. It just never happened, but I believe in divine timing. So thank you. You're doing God's work. It's not easy, but you have my full support and support from India, because, like you explained, it's an incredible partnership, not just on shared values, but shared challenges.
Absolutely.
All right. For people who want to follow Yair, go down the comment section. Actually, go down to the description.
Yes.
Follow him. You are on Instagram and
on
Twitter,
Facebook.
and on Facebook and other
And on
social.
LinkedIn, but yeah.
I will try and list down all the social channel platforms he's on. And in the meantime, watch the right content, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.